So, okay. Nyame njoe mweke oyu ndi mwamukire thiini wa giikaro giki inyuothe mukite hwaini wa umuthi gucokia ngatho kwi Ngai hamwe na ithui ta family ni undu wa wira uyu mwathani atwiteire na gatuhe ona gatuhotithia kuruta njuge ati ni tukenete muno makiria ni tondu wa mawiko maria mwathani athiite na mbere na gutwikira ona njokie ngatho kuri some specific people makoretwo mari instrumental in one way or the other. Wa mbere njuge ati muthenya uyu wa umuthi nitwagirire gukorwo na one of our best friends, Reverend Professor Mugi wa Kamau, uria wagirire gukorwo akiaria thiini wa launch ibuku riri na nikugwetete uguo mathaa ma rucini no ni undu uria ndege irakanjirwo ni undu wa snow ndanahota guka ndege yake ho irakanjwo ageria gwetha rucini oke ona iri gukinya tene muno gukinya 7 pm riu haria ni tondu norumire tondu we are live na ni ararumirira no tuginyira mbere gutera uguo na Mugi tutindatiria no ni twetereire guka uhunjie tondu tigiti urakire murihe ukirutithie wira. Bwana asifiwe sana. Kana inyo murera ndimwire ati ugu wakiurira thio uguo mundu kwagirire nginya kuhunjia guku rucini to erage kiruti wira ucio yeni aonaga kura ucifu kwa kihunjia tha ici twakugeithia Bwana Mugi na family yaku Ngai amurathime na mwike wega. Jugete, I want to appreciate the worship team for a good job. You know, I'm going to keep lively. Na ninge kuruta wira ucio wa gutongoria na nyimbo cia kugoca Ngai. Mawira maria twikaga o muthenya ni ma kugoceria Ngai. So when we have an opportunity to worship and to praise God, we cannot take it for granted. And thank you for that good job. I want to thank my friend and colleague, Reverend Dr. Mushina. He is the one who wrote the introductory word at the back. He proofread the book and became part and parcel of the journey that I went through. And I want to thank my family for being there, supporting me as I did this. I also want to thank Mundu Itago Samuel Boaura, the Gimamu Samrak. Because he's the one who published this book. He has done a very good job, and I want to thank you, Samrak, for that good job with your family to join this particular day so that we can do this to the glory of God. Even as I thank the entire PCEA church family, this would not have been possible if it were not for your presence. I have practiced them here, so you have given me a platform to practice. And I want to thank the Pastors Fellowship and Pastor Zeremo Kite. You can see retired Canon Emeritus. Little time when it retired. Canon Emeritus, not Canon retired. Peter Gachani, thank you for joining us. Na nitwaro ite na kitondo rake arutre ifukuna na jetire no ni asimire ndo ina ndioi na amenyaga rupisho kama baba Samrak the following day. So thank you, congratulations even for coming. And we have Pastor Josephine Koko there. Any other pastor here? Any other pastor here? I know there are some who have an apology. Yes? Simon do one you. Oh, okay. Can you go kwa anyway, and I want also to recognize the presence of two very important people to this church, whether direct or indirect. Mission means really can you please stand up? And I want to tell you why they are very important to this church. Today is my first time to meet Mrs. Murithi. However, and wherever I can go up is in them. To go a building, you know. Aiguire andu arutaga wira na Bengi Enterprise akigua andu maracaria mortgage ya kugura kanitha. She moved the board into a vote of confidence ati NEEMA uria ndimoi matigire muri kuriha. No ndari athoma guku. Have you ever been to this church? She has never been here. No ni ile board ya Enterprise Bank aria ashura ndimoi matigire muri gwika hatia. And by the way, we are done with the mortgage. Amen. You know that. So we thank you for your word of confidence and vote of confidence. That is why we are here today. The man behind that very good wife is a special friend of mine, special in this sense. The late very Reverend Bernard Muindi. Bernard Muindi, to me, was a very special minister. Now he's the one who posted me to the parish where this book started. So he has been a friend for a long time before he died. And through the very Reverend Bernard Muindi, I got to know Moreidi because he was telling me, I'm in Boston, Moreidi lives there, you know. And Kenjira at Kwengo, Majuragia ko Boston to Matumena to get to Kemoria. Where do we start? Now here we are. The prayers of your dad have been answered. And that this is where we are. We have a PCEA church here because of those prayers. So thank you so much for coming and for being supportive of our church indirectly. But the other part of Boston, so it's a little bit far. And we thank God even to see you when you realize that we have to do this. Thank you so much and God bless you. Now, okay. The title of this book is Infant Baptism, and the subtitle is Demystifying the Sacrament. Demystifying. Kana kugeria ko taura odrosio o ne kagawe muritu muno kana utara understandika no kage na a lot of confusion. When I was posted to a particular parish in Itekone Munereko, I remember now that's how this book came to be born. We were sitting in the session, and then a discussion came up, and one of the elders stood up and said, because we were discussing some other two people who were leaders in the parish, but they were no longer there. They were no longer in the leadership. Moderator kumanelea twakinyire kumenya ati kibatithio gĩa ciana gĩtũ thĩinĩ wa Bibilia. Maũndũ maingĩ nĩ magarũrũkire parish ĩno. Na nĩkĩo I want to see na nĩtiga nĩ ndabatithĩtie ciana ciakwa tene itoĩ. Ikorwo nĩ ũmũthĩ ndingĩoĩ ũguo, ndingĩcibatithia. And then I remembered that the PCEA believes and teaches about infant baptism. Koko kemwira, Mr. So-and-so, there are two things that you ought to do. Because you are a church elder, ordained by the PCEA, the doctrine and the governance of this church, church elder, no infant baptism. So you have two choices. You either withdraw what you said, or you bring your eldership card. Contrary to the doctrine of the church that you are supposed to lead. And then I realized sometimes you may find somebody so there has to have been some wrong information that came into the scene at some point. And that's when I started the work. The entire parish, we don't just baptize. The argument that has always been, it has been something of a mystery. There has been an argument by the people that and so those of us that are in the know need to clarify that. And I believe with the blessings and permission here, Professor Mogi, personal. That was so he wanted to share that story. Confusion So why did I write this book? I wanted to make it a very simple read, not deep theology, but trying to explain step by step why we do infant baptism. Nego modo agigakinya hando aigwe de kufatithia mwana kana we mwenye igwa getahitirio no kufatithio wambe understand maundu maria mari thiini wa ibuku riri. And so the one thing that I've discussed first deliberately, a small book, so that you feel comfortable holding on to it. The second thing, I ensured that a large font. Very comfortable. This was published by the PCEA Publishers, Nairobi. Why do we do infant baptism? Or how do we understand this? One the mistake that people do is to take baptism in terms of my tokoya kebatidio tare witri okay. Kekolo kebatidio witri my jenga witha baba itamaigana. Neko batidio kolo kebatidia. All what we are trying to say is that kebatidio now we talk about baptism in itself, and that's what I've discussed in terms of the first and second chapter. Sacraments, because the sacraments of the church, in the New Testament more than the other. Akihana Great Commission yoro akifatithia ni the mwatu nyandu andu matikia tu akwa mukibabatithia thini wa ritwa rithe tunaya muri na roho. And then the second sacrament is the sacrament of Holy Communion. So the sacraments that we talk about, the two sacraments that we talk about as Protestants are about not a request. Yeah, the request So when we talk about sacraments, we are talking about what we have been commanded to do by Christ. So, joke ohoro wa kibatidio ti ohoro wa mai. Baptism is the mark of entry into the new covenant. Kibatidio ni ojire ya mundu aigagira nayo thiini wa kirekano kia mundu na Ngai kiria kieru. So I wanted to ask myself, na ndikunyendete kwaria haha ohoro-ini uyu, angikorwo ni mark of the new covenant, what is the mark of the old covenant? Na ngenda tushoke thiini wa kirikaniro into the old covenant, twiorie mark ya kirikaniro kiria gikuru niki. Tugoka thiini wa buku ya Genesis chapter 17, haria Ngai erire Ibrahimu uhoro wa kuruithia mwana wothe wa kahina matuko maigana. That was the entry into the old covenant. The question is, no, the New Testament, the coming of baptism was a transformation. They had the old covenant into a new covenant. The old covenant, they had it confined only to the Jews, kind of the Israelites. It was also not gender sensitive. Are we together? And the third shortcoming is that it was a physical mark. It was a physical mark. So the baptism comes in to be a new covenant, replacing the old covenant, and not physical. It involved our spiritual selves. The holistic self, not just the spiritual. Now, it's not confined to the men and boys alone. It is for everybody, and it is not confined to the Jews. So, in order for us to understand baptism, we have to understand baptism as a new covenant that arises from the old covenant. Na ogoneko joete hidagaba kutariri horosho. Odoria no magusha nagenia muno horo wa kibatithiori. Oria munene muno andu magusha nagenia muno horo wa kibatithiori nĩ atĩ rĩrĩa Mwathani areheirwo ciana-rĩ ndacibatithirie nĩ gũcigĩrĩra amaigĩrĩire moko. Kana tiguo? Aigĩrĩire ciana moko. The question is, ona andũ arĩa tondũ nĩ igagĩrĩra andũ agima moko-rĩ, was it during baptism? Ungithoma New Testament, there is no emphasis ya Mwathani akĩruta wĩra wa baptism. There is no emphasis. Onakorwo nĩ gwetete at some point atĩ nĩ kũrĩ andũ abatithirie, ndeheanĩte emphasis ya baptism. No, rĩrĩa akuire na akĩriũka okire akiuga nĩ ndehetwo wathani wothe wa igũrũ na thĩ. Tondũ ũcio nĩ ndamũtũma thiĩ thĩ yothe mũgatũme andũ a ndũrĩrĩ matuĩke arutwo akwa mũkĩmabatithagia thĩinĩ wa rĩĩtwa rĩa Ithe Witũ na rĩa Mũriũ na rĩa Roho Mũtheru. Why would he become emphatic on baptism if it was not central to his ministry? Agacoka koiga mũgatũme andũ a ndũrĩrĩ, all nations. No ndoigire age. Ndoigire age. Mwathani ndoigire age. Now, arutwo a Mwathani on the day of Pentecost rĩrĩa maikũrũkĩirwo nĩ Roho Mũtheru na makĩaria na thiomi na tũgacoka tũkaigua andũ aingĩ makĩhonoka na magĩtuĩka kũrũmĩrĩra Mwathani Petro ahunjia the very first sermon after the coming of the Holy Spirit oigire atĩa? Kĩĩranĩro kĩu nĩ inyuĩ na ciana cianyu mwĩkĩte atĩa? Mwĩrĩirwo. Are we together? So it's not confined to the adults. The blessing of the covenant is not confined to the adults alone. To have one. So do we have to understand as you read this book, understand the Great Commission, understand the issue of the covenant, understand and then after that, so the entire household. The whole household. Korwo nĩ twenda gũtũmenye tikia ciana tũngĩeragwo no andũ arĩa mabatithio thĩinĩ wa mũciĩ ũcio no andũ arĩa makinyĩtie mĩaka 10 na kĩ kana nĩ mũndũ wĩna kĩbandĩ. Are we together? But the Bible talks about the entire household. Who are we to assume that there were no kids in that family? Don't tũngiuga barĩ ya ng'ombe marabatithio the entire family tũngiuga unau no tũtige Bethany. The entire household does not mean just the husband and the wife. Twĩhamwe kana mũndũ ũkinyĩtie mĩaka 18. And then Biblia ĩgoka ĩkoiga atĩrĩrĩ, when he was speaking to Paul rĩrĩa akayaga nĩ tondũ wa mũrimũ ũrĩa warĩ thĩinĩ wa mwĩrĩ wake Mwathani amwĩrire, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your. We have every reason to also interpret that to mean at in the weakness of a child, are we together? It is not in the power and in the physical might of the person. It is in the weakness of the person where so those of you that may look at so many arguments, the problem that we make first and foremost is to consider baptism as the issue of water. It is not about mine. It's not about mine. It's about entry into the covenant. God forbid, Negai. Amurathi mwana mwana. Na Ngai ũcio rĩngĩ ende kuoya mwana ũcio na mũtĩramũbatithĩtie. Rĩu mwandehera. Akenda gũthika ndaũ. Because it is through baptism that we become Christians, members of the household of God. Kana tiguo. Rĩu mwana ũtarĩ mũbatithie nĩ wa dini ĩrĩkũ? That child is not Christian. No one they have come to Gatari. Now we go back to the old covenant. If we have what there, Oreo Kaga, when you buy a Kukarana, Komona, Besha, no Binya Aruna Komanana. Read quite well Genesis chapter 17. Akero, Noria. they should be cut off from this covenant. Are we together? They should be cut off from this covenant. What are we talking about? They are not members of the covenant. Are we together? In the same manner, when God tells you to do about your household, the moment that child dies, are we together? So the burden is on you. Todo Ibrahim kuderi wo view more ye modu kwenda kurua. Eri wo you make it. Omar we did not take your aku. Reuri ya mushiyeri mwanga kuneana mwana alutiro igogona reuri. Then ne kurina ono biono kono die kono mukoranya na ngai. Todo mwana na tomo ko ine maku ginyare ya agatuika mugi mohoro ino wa take you. Are we together? And so the problem that we have is that the Biblia yuga kaweka muno thini wa uria Hosea eriando. But Hosea does not end that in chapter 4 verse 6. That is how. Verse 7 not to. Are we together? So in writing this book, we are trying to create an environment of knowledge. It's not what Hosea not on the new reggae to menyo, a Kerekiana Kugat, Nanide Gogo Kana, Otiga Wekadia, Otiga Wetanionani. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you from being a member of the covenant. The moment we don't avail that knowledge, then we would also be making a mistake. I want to avail that knowledge to everybody. During the days of your ignorance, what did I do? I overlooked, I forgave you. But now, I am commanding that you do what? Repent. Matukuma yuma kuri wore ni damu neke ye. Nori utonde murama nyare. Nadine go mwana mwekete. Mwelile. Are we together? So, this is one sacrament that is so confusing to so many people. They divide it right, left, and center. No, we need to go back to the basics. And what is the basic? Baptism is an entry into the covenant. Baptism timae, baptism tiwete kiwa modo, tondwa ona higwa Ibrahimu, ala maruaga, maru ile na yete kiwa Ibrahimu. Are we together? Na nikio mwana atagioka haru kama tukubatithie no nginya reho niki ni muciari tondu abatithio na weteki wa muciari. And then when that is done, muciari akoya wira wa kurera mwana ucio no korio kiuria ni kuga ni kumurera na njira iria ingituma akure na riria akagimara akehoera mihitwe yo. The other thing that we have as parents ni ati riria mwana wa muire mihitwe yake batithio no ucio ni agimarira na ria kuigurirwo moko. Umenya no yokuita mihitwa yao. Ko uri ona shinda ndo muringiriirie oke eyoreke. Tole hamwe. Ohoro wa ureri thini wa nyumba ya Ngai ni muritu to that degree and extent. We need to do it the way God intended right from the word go. If you have derivo, you come out there. Fatawa irua. Derivo. Odiga kaka. Go and circumcise them. At what days? Tukiwa kama tumeisha na 8 days ndio tukuma mwana wa 8 days na roba mushira tutikoke na kupumia. No one, the earliest possible that you can baptize your child, the better for you. The better for you, for the glory of God. I think you have a question, B. Yes.
Between the birth and now the baptism.
Okay.
Question number 2. Waigate mwanosho akishiaro na ashoke akoroti mufatibie oyetuo we mutugati mufatibia
tukomotia
sasa likomotuka o mwanosho mufatibia ebo kristiano kana atali na mwana kiogere kedi na kiogere kedi mwanosho akishiaro umode aikorwo dikoshia gushokoka kanira ile mufatibio ni mungu wajari akwe in between le mwanosho we mutugati na demo kristiano na mutugati kwa kwai okumudika eta okana ndego dikoni mutugati.
Okay. Those are good questions. Not the good showcase, but I'll address those ones. Ohoro wa Old Testament. The Old Testament dwells on the environment of law. Wado. No, New Testament here the grace of God. So it doesn't have to be at exactly 80 days because we are not dealing with the law. We are dealing with grace. Are we together? The soonest as a parent, you can bring the child to become a member of the covenant. So there are no number of days, but you should do it as soon as possible.
What if the child doesn't survive?
Yeah? The child doesn't survive. That's a different story. We still also operate in the level of grace. Now you are not to blame. This is about the environment of grace. All what I'm trying to say is, as a parent, you should be responsible. Okay, can you mwana wane grone gai arera go holistically tiguo ndio muheaga irio cia kuria na akinye ihinda rĩa gũthiĩ cukuru ũkamũthomithia psychologically na ũhoro wa Ngai ũgathiĩ ũkĩmũhunjagĩria. Na by the way, haha nĩho this the other question that was asked by somebody na twĩũragia Jesu Kristo thĩinĩ wa Luka 2:52 twĩrĩtwo agĩkũra akĩnenehaga akĩohĩgaga akĩendagwo nĩ Ngai ona andũ. In other words, his growth was holistic. At what point they do want to read the Moria Shia Mwana agreed to introduce Wari. Eh? Mwana agreed to introduce Wari. Eh? Abu Barugaji Equimenya Ashiaru Arioda. Okay. Let me say this. Mwanare ndani ngire ndariaga. Mwanare ndani na maundu maria nyina areciria na araria ngire ndanyitaga. Ona hindi o mwanare ndani na wagiriire kumuhoyagira. Mwana uyu ukura wendete Ngai. Are we together? Na aciarwo na korwo ndara understand. Ona aciarwo you twehithagia mundu ni uri hoyagira mwana ucio no kahoyaga hamwe nake. Kogu mwana ucio ndiagirire gutwika psyched ati ne kuri mathaa mahoya ona korwo ndanyita tie ni timweterega thi Sunday school apana ohoro wa gukuria mwana it is holistic physically, spiritually and psychologically to hamwe. Now to that extent, when you have done your part okay introduce mwana ohoro-ini wa Ngai mwathani urakimuhurukia mbere ri maitho-ini ma Ngai. God knows that you have done your part. But the most important thing is understanding that we are swimming in the environment of grace, not in the environment of law. The Old Testament is about Moab. The New Testament deals with grace, or the grace of God that becomes sufficient in our weakness. Okay? You take it again with your okay. No, joke here, personally, so that maundu macio nimo mainformire bata wa kwandika ibuku riri, so that infant baptism stops being a mystery. We all understand na twavel ugira mwathani atuhete na inyuĩ mũtuĩke a ku understand. So ndarĩkia gũkinya hau ndĩmũcokerie ngatho mũno makĩria nĩ gũthikĩrĩria na kũhe mweke ũyũ ndĩmũrehere ũũgĩ ũcio mwathani aheanĩte. This is not about me. It's about the work that God has given unto us. Bwana asifiwe sana. Na nĩngwenda gũkĩrikũmĩra some pastors moka macereirwo, Pastor Lucy na Reverend Jordan at the back there. Karibuni sana na Bwana awabariki sana. Thank you, MC.